Hello fellow jammers, I'm Dustin Cormier and this is How to Rock a Campfire. This video is entitled How to Use a Capo. Now, a capo, which is one of these nifty little devices right here in case you've ever seen one of these, what a capo is doing is it's barring a whole fret for you so that you don't have to have your first finger barring that whole fret, okay? And it's so basically the action of this is if you'll notice that this white nut, this white peg, represents 0 fret, fret 0, the open fret, right? What this capo does is it brings that open fret up to whatever note, whatever fret that you want to put it on. So what a lot of people do is if they're playing a song in the key of A, for example, you know, that's alright, mama, that's alright for you. Okay, they want to bring a song that's in any key. Sorry about that. They want to bring it up 1 fret. All they got to do is throw that capo on there. Okay, so that's that same song, just a little bit higher up. Well, that's alright, mama, that's alright for you. Okay, so that's what the capo is all about. Now, there are 3 main uses that you can get out of a capo, okay? As I said, the first main use is simply if you're playing a song and you think it's a little bit too low, all you got to do is put that capo on whatever fret you feel like putting it on, and it will make your guitar a little bit higher, which means that you can sing it a little bit higher on whatever song it is that you're trying to play. The second use of the capo is, as I'm going to show you with this Tom Petty song, Free Falling, in a few minutes, you're going to see that the second use of the capo is to add another dimension to a group of guitarists playing. Okay? So, I guess I'll just show you the example for now. So, Free Falling by Tom Petty. She's a good girl. Oh, sorry. She's a good girl. Loves her mama. Okay, so that's in the key of E. You're going to the E, to the A, E. Okay, so those are the chords for that song, okay? Now, I'm going to put a capo on the 2nd fret. Whenever I'm jamming with my friends, if we play Free Falling by Tom Petty, what we usually do is we have most people playing it without the capo, playing it in its normal key, in the key of E. And then we'll have either me or some other guitarist playing what Tom Petty actually plays in that song. He uses a capo. And you can tell that this actually sounds a lot more like the way Tom Petty plays it. She's a good girl, loves her mama. Okay, so you'll notice that it's the same notes, okay? She's a good girl, she's a good girl, okay? It's the same notes, it's the same key, okay? All I'm doing is I'm having one guitar playing the open notes, which is a lower sounding style of chord, and then I've got another guitar player playing the higher notes, right? That's what the capo's all about. And so you can have somebody playing those higher notes, and it makes a wider, broader sound for all the guitarists involved, okay? And the more guitarists you have using the more guitarists using the more capos in the group, the wider and more full the sound will be for any jam that you choose to play in. So another thing that a lot of guitarists will do is, even in that song, okay? So what I've done here is we've got the capo on the 2nd fret, which means when I play a D-shaped chord, the D is a whole tone higher, right? Instead, 1 fret would make it a semitone higher, and then since the capo is on the 2nd fret, that means that all the notes that I will play are 2 semitones higher, which is a whole tone, okay? So, if I'm playing a D shape, even though the shape is in the shape of a D, what you're hearing with your ear is an E chord. This right here is an E chord, okay? And you can tell if you listen. it's still the same note. Okay, and so that's the main point, is that when you're using a capo, you can play different chord shapes, but you can still make it sound like the actual chord progression, the bones of what you are hearing, the bones of the chord, okay? And so we can take this, and we can even play it up on even a higher point, like say up here. A lot of people will play this song on the 4th fret, and they'll play it with C-style chords, right? So, she's a good girl, crazy about Elvis, loves horses, and a boyfriend too. And so that's what a lot of people will do with a lot of these songs. And the more capos you have, the more, as I said, the wider the song is going to sound, okay? So that is our second reason why we would use a capo. The first one was to just simply lift a song up so that it sounds a little bit higher, right? The second one was to add an added dimension to any song where you're using your open chords, right? So if you've got a song in any key, in the key of E, you have another person playing the chords with a capo and make it have a wider sound. That's our second reason. And the third reason why people use a capo is kind of the most like obvious, like preferred one. The third reason is because you can only play certain songs with a capo. And so I guess I'll give you some examples right now. I'm going to put this on the 2nd fret. Now, I'm going to play a song. I've got 2 songs to show you guys. One of them is, it's a song called Wonderwall by Oasis. And this is a very, this is a hugely popular song for people to play on guitar. In fact, a lot of the times, if you're a guitarist, if you ever ask a guitarist to play Wonderwall, they'll go, oh my god, okay, alright, here we go. Because everybody asked for that song. But anyway, how this song is played is I'll just give you a quick little roundabout about it. You're going to do an E minor 7th style chord, okay? Now, your usual E minor 7th is shaped like this, right? You've got your 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the A string. 2nd fret, meaning we're pretending that this capo is fret 0, right? So, you've got your 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the A string. You've got your 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the D string, right? So that's your E minor shape, right? And then you've also got a finger, either your pinky or, in this case for this song, you're going to use your 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the B string. And that's what makes the 7th of the E minor chord, right? And then you're going to use your pinky, the 4th finger on the 3rd fret of the E string, the high E, okay? And so that's on that high G note, and it makes that's your E minor 7th chord, okay? And so you're going from this E minor 7th chord. This is interesting what they do in this song, is you're going to keep your 3rd finger and your 4th finger on these high notes. It's a very convenient song for beginner guitar players to learn. So you're going to go from this E minor 7th, and then you're going to go to the G, except this style of G chord, you're going to keep these 2 fingers, like I said, you're going to keep your 3rd finger and your 4th finger on the high E and the B string. And then you're just going to take your 2nd finger off of here, and you're going to put it into where it would go on the G, right? Right? So from our E minor 7th to the G, and then we're going to do a D chord, except that we're going to keep our pinky, so these fingers have not moved at all yet, okay? We're going to keep our pinky on that 3rd fret of the high E string. Okay, so that's that note. And then after that, all you have to do for this weird, it's a strange, it's like an A suspended 4th, sorry, it's an A 7th suspended 4th, okay? And if you had watched from video 9, you should be able to tell why that is, okay? Because it's got the 7th note in there. It's an A note, it's an A chord rather. It's got the 7th, which is the high G, and it's also got the 4th, which is the D note. Do, do, re, mi, fa, fa. That's your 4th. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4th, so that's the D note. So if you're going to play an A style chord, the D note added in there means it's an A suspended 4th. And so because this has got a 7th and a suspended 4th in it, we call it A suspended 4th. Now the thing is that I'm willing to bet that when Oasis wrote this song, they weren't thinking of any of that. They were just, you know, using their ear. And the ear is the most important part of music. So anyway, the point is that this song is played with a capo. And if you played it without the capo, it just doesn't... It's too low, you know? And so this is a roundabout way of saying that the third reason for using a capo is because there are songs that you can only play with a capo. So that is our third reason, okay? And that's the song, well, I'm just going to show this for you guys. E minor 7 to the G, D, suspended 4th to A7 suspended 4th. E minor, G, D, A7, right? And then so that's Wonderwall. The other song to show you number 3, the third reason why we use a capo. I'm going to show you another example. Okay? Now this is a Beatles song. It's with a D-shaped chord, but this is in the key of E. Okay, the bass player is playing an E note. The other guitar players, you know. While this song, it's Norwegian Wood, by the way. I'll just show it to you first, right? So you should all recognize the tune. I once had a girl, or should I say, she once had me. She talked until 2, and then she said, it's time for bed. Okay, so that's in E, right? And that's the thing is though, in order to you to have this little melody, do 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 do. Yeah, it's a little bit weird in there. But, so in order for you to have that melody, you can have the whole room just going like this. I once had a girl, or should I say, she once had me. Right? So that's all E. Okay? The whole thing is in, or at least for that part, the whole thing is in E, but this little melody, you can only get that melody using a capo. So a capo is not just about making the notes higher, which is, it's useful for that purpose, but the third reason for using a capo, and really like the most important aspect of a capo, is that you can pull out notes and melodies and chord phrasings that you can, with a capo, that you cannot pull out without a capo. You know, I could try, Lord knows I could try to do that without a capo, but I would just, all I'm doing, as you can see, I can't even do it. So that's the point, is that a capo can be used to heighten your singing and your guitar range so that you can sing a song a little bit easier. It's used to add an added dimension to a song that is already played with an open strings without a capo. And also, the third reason is it is a whole new world of music open up for certain little riffs that you can only do with that capo. And that's a very important thing. One thing I wanted to show you guys is an example. This is an Adam Sandler song. This is reason number 1, like I said, is Adam Sandler probably wrote this song in like the key of G, and I guess he just decided to throw a capo on there. And maybe he wrote it, maybe he tunes his guitar up a whole half step, or sorry, maybe he tunes his guitar up a half step, so I'm not really sure, but all I know is that this song is played in the key of G sharp, okay? And it's, you know, Lunch Ladyland. Woke up in the morning, throw on my new plastic glove. Had a side of Salisbury steak with a little slice of love. And, I know you want second on the corn dogs, but there's no reason to shout. Everybody gets enough food down here in Lunch Ladyland. Oh, hoagies and grinders, hoagies and grinders, hoagies and grinders, navy beans, meatloaf, sandwich, sloppy Joe, sloppy Joe, sloppy Joe, sloppy Joe, come on. Right, so he plays that song. That's G sharp. Woke up in the morning to the C sharp. Put on my new plastic glove, and then that's D sharp. Everybody gets enough food down here in C sharp. Lunch Ladyland. Now, the thing about this song is that if you don't have a capo, you can get away with playing that song without it. Sloppy Joe, sloppy Joe, come on. Sloppy Joe, sloppy Joe, sloppy Joe, sloppy Joe, sloppy Joe, sloppy Joe. So you can play that song without the capo, and you can get away with it. You can't, you know, you can do it. It doesn't sound that bad. But that is specifically for songs that are played on the first fret. If any songs use a capo on the first fret, you can get away with playing it without the capo at all. It won't sound exact, but if you don't have a capo and you want to play the song, you know, what else are you going to do, right? And so that's an important point to make, is that after the first fret, if a song is played on the second fret, you can't just do those chords with the open strings, because it'll be very noticeably lower, too low almost, so to the point where it's really not that enjoyable. And so those are our 3 reasons why we use our capo. Now there's a very important point that I want to make in terms of playing with other players who use the capo, okay? Because when you play either by yourself with a capo or with other people who use a capo, there's a great opportunity for you to learn what's called transposing chords, okay? And transposing chords in the moment is kind of a hard thing to do, but you can just, there are ways to do it, okay? Now, I'm going to play you guys a song that is usually in the key of E, but for the sake of this example, I'm going to play it in the key of G, but I'm playing it in the key of G, remember, but I've got my capo on the 3rd fret, okay? Which means that my E-shaped chord is going to be lifted up. It's going to be lifted up 3 semitones, okay? Now, if we play our E chord down here, you know that this low E note, that's our low open E, right? So that's our E. The next one up is an F, the next up is an F sharp, and then the next up is a G. So on that 3rd fret, you can see that I'm barring, with my first finger here, I'm barring the whole 3rd fret down. That is how you play a G bar chord, okay? And so, excuse me, basically what I'm doing when I use a capo is I'm taking that finger off, and I'm allowing the capo to bar that fret for me, okay? So now I'm playing an E-shaped chord, but what you're hearing is a G chord, okay? And I'm going to prove that to you right now, because it is just kind of an important thing to know. So as you can hear, this is with this guitar, okay? I'm playing an E-shaped chord on the 3rd fret, which is making a G chord. Now listen to this G chord, and listen to this one. Right? So that's your G. Making a hell out of this example, but you can see that those are the same note, okay? Those are the the same chord, just played in two different ways, right? So now, what I'm trying to explain to you guys is this is about transposing chords, right? So I'm going to play you this song, You Don't Mess Around with Jim, in the key of G, okay? So this whole thing is actually going to be played in the key of G, okay? Now, those of you who have a good sense for transposing are going to be following me, and those of you who don't are probably not, so just bear with me, okay? The shape of the chords I am playing are the key of E, okay? Now you're going to watch me play the guitar, and you're going to see that the notes I'm using, or the shapes that I'm using, that's an E chord, right? And then it goes into an A chord, right? And then this chord right here, by the way, is a B7th, and I've shown you that chord in our basic chords. So you've got the E, you've got the A, and you've got the B. Now, does that sound familiar to you guys at all? It should if you've been watching my videos. The E is the first note, the A is the fourth, sorry, I should say chords. The E, since we're talking about the key of E right now, the E is the first chord in the key of E, the A is the fourth chord in the key of E, and then the B, which is the B7th shape right here, that's the fifth chord in the key of E, okay? And so that's where these note chords are coming from. E, A, B7th, back to the E, okay? Now he changes it up a little bit, but, so that is the shapes of the chords, okay? Now, if I'm going to play this for you guys, and I guess I'll just play it for you right now, I'm going to play it with the E-shaped chords, but you're going to notice that it's, what you're hearing is actually the key of G, and it's a G blues chord progression, right? Well, Uptown's got its hustlers, the Bowery's got its bum, and the Lower Street's got a big Jim Walker. He's a bull-shooting son of a gun. He's as big and dumb as a man can come, and he's stronger than a country horse. B7. When the bad folks all get together at night, you know they all call Big Jim boss just because. Now to the fourth. So you don't tug on Superman's cape. Back to the first. You know the fourth into the wind. You don't smack the lamp off the old Lone Ranger, and you don't mess around with Jim. So that's our fifth. Back to the first. Now that's that song in the key of G played with an E-shaped chord key signature, chord progression, okay? So what you're seeing is an E to the A to the B, but what you're actually hearing is G to the C to the D7, right? Right? So now listen. Okay? Right? You're hearing the same thing, right? They're both, actually what you're hearing is the key of G, okay? Now, what that means that me, as the capo player, if somebody were playing that song with just the G chords, well, Uptown's got its Boweries, Uptown's got its bums, you got the big Jim Walker, he's a pool-shooting son of a gun, and he's as big and dumb as a man can come, and he's stronger than a country horse. When the bad folks all get together at night, then they all call Big Jim boss just because. Okay? Now that was the G fingering shape, right? Now if I'm going to put my capo on here, what I have to do is I have to know the chord progression. Okay? Now, this is the key factor, and I've shown you guys in one of my introductory guitar lesson videos, is the chord progression here. We're going to talk numbers now, because the numbers are like the bones of the chords that you're seeing, okay? So let's say G is the first, right? G, the song is in the key of G, and so G is our first chord, okay? G is our first, C is our fourth, and D is our fifth, okay? We've got our 1st G, 4th C, and 5th D, right? Now, if I'm going to play this song in the key of G with somebody, if I'm looking at somebody and they're playing with regular chords, okay? They don't know how to use a capo, let's say for the sake of this example. So they say, okay, well, I'm going to play this song and it's in the key of G. All you have to do is, you know, play along. And then I'll say, okay, all right, you play that with the open strings, and I'm going to play it on the 3rd fret with the capo on the 3rd fret in the key of E. All right. Now, what do I have to know if I'm going to play the song in the key of E? Well, it's very confusing when you're thinking of he's playing a G chord and you're thinking an E, and your head kind of gets all screwed up. So what you want to do is you want to learn the bones of the song, the chord progression, the bones, okay, which doesn't change, right? So you're going to play this song in the key of G. It's 1st, 4th, and 5th, okay? So now I am going to do the 1st, the 4th, and the 5th of the E-shaped chords. That's what you're going to be seeing on my guitar, okay? Now, I hope you guys aren't getting too sick of this diagram, but I'm just going to show it one more time because it's very relevant to what we're talking about, okay? So now, here is the classic diagram, right? We've got our 1st, which is the E, okay? E is 1st, A is the 4th of E, and B is the 5th, okay? So we've got our 1st, our 4th, and our 5th, okay? You guys have seen this before, right? Now, that is the shape of the chords that we're going to be playing, okay? But the actual chords, as I'm watching, remember that it was the 1st, the 4th, and the 5th, okay? So Uptown's got its Boweries, Belltown's got its bums, do, it's Jim Walker, he's a pool shooting son of a gun, and he's as big and dumb as a man can come, right? So it goes into the C, the 4th. Okay, so we're going from the 1st to the 4th, and then the quick little 5th. And when the bad folks all get together at night, you know, they all call Big Jim boss just because, right? And when the D folk all get to C at night, you know, the D back to the C, and then back to the G, okay? Now, we are going to transpose that, okay? Because we're watching somebody, remember. So we're watching somebody play this with the open chords, and they're playing G to the C to the D, okay? Well, if I want to play that with a capo, all I've got to do is I've got to memorize the fact that we're going from the 1st to the 4th and the 5th, right? Now, that's what we're going to do when we go to the key of E. We can see here, we're going from the 1st to the 4th to the 5th. The distance between the chords never changes, okay? The distance between each chord in any key in any chord progression never changes. So now we're in the key of E. E is our 1st, A is our 4th, and B is our 5th, okay? And we can see that while we're playing the song, right? And so that's what you have to do in order to play a song with somebody who is playing with open strings and you're using a capo. All right? And it also works backwards, okay? So let's assume that I'm sitting here and Joe Blow over here is playing with a capo, okay? And he says, so I play the song with the E-shaped chords, but I play it on the 3rd fret, and I don't know what key it's in, okay? Well, all you have to do is I'm looking at him, and he's got a capo like this, like you're seeing, right? So he plays that big E-shaped chord, and I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking, okay, well, what am I going to do to figure this out? Well, I mean, I guess, you know, what you always want to do is find the root note, okay? So if he is looking at this, he's still got the key signature in his head as the key of E. So if I ask him, okay, well, what key is this song in? He's going to say, okay, well, it's in the key of E. And I'm looking at this, and he's playing an E-shaped chord, but he's got a capo on the 3rd fret, all right? So now all I have to do is transpose that first note. As long as I find the root chord, then I will be able to play with what he is playing, okay? So now he's got his E-shaped chord on his 1st fret with the capo on here, okay? Now all I have to do is figure out what exactly that first note would be. And so all I would do is I would take my E chord down here and go E, F, F sharp, G, right? That's one way you could of finding out what the note is, as long as you've got the first chord, okay? You got to find out what that first chord is. So maybe, maybe you let him play a little bit, you say, just play that chord, and you go like this. Then you use your ear, and you go, okay, nope, that's not an A, nope, it's not a C, not a D, not an E. Oh. Play with it until your chord matches the chord that he's playing with his capo, okay? And so now he's doing his whole thing in the key of E, right? Uptown's got his parties, ba-do-do-do-do. I say you don't tug on Superman's cape, you don't spit it into the wind, right? So he's going, the key thing to remember is, the point I'm trying to get to you guys, is to memorize the numerology, which is the chord progression of the chord progression that you're trying to learn. Don't let me lose you. So he's playing this, and he says, okay, so I don't know what key it's in, but all I know is that I'm going from the first note, okay, which is E. He knows for him it's the key of E. So he's going from his first note, right, to the fourth note, now from the fourth to the fifth. And when the bad folks all back to the fourth, get together at night to the fifth, they all call Big Jim boss just because. Right? And so now I can take that, and I'm thinking, okay, so he was doing it in the key of E, but I'm not even going to think of that. I'm thinking of numbers, okay? So if I'm playing in the key of G, okay, and so, now it starts on the first, now we're going to go into the fourth. Well, as a big and dumb as a man can come, he's stronger than a country boss to the fifth. When the bad folks all get together at night, they all call Big Jim boss just because, right? But when the fifth folk all get to fourth at night, the fifth chord, back to the fourth chord, back to the first chord. But don't you know, you say you don't tug on Superman's cape, you don't spit it into the wind, you don't pull the mask off the old Lone Ranger, and you don't mess around with Slim. You see what I'm saying, folks? So that is the key thing that I'm trying to get you guys to know, is that capos are very good for learning to transpose chords, okay? And all you have to do is find out the root, which of the chords that the person is playing is the root chord of the song. And as long as you know the root, even if he thinks, where'd my capo go? Even if he thinks this song is in the key of E, okay? That means that to him, E is the root note. And so now you know what the root note is to him. All you got to do is bring your root note up 3 frets, okay? So since you don't have a capo on your guitar, you're watching somebody who has the capo on the 3rd fret, they're doing an E-style chord, you're looking at it, you've got to find out what the root is, in this case it's the E, and you've got to transpose that many frets up the guitar, okay? So we had E is our first, right? And then we're going to go up fret by fret, E, F, F sharp, G. Now that's the 3rd fret. That's the same fret that Joe Blow was using to put his capo on, which means that that is G. So you know that the root chord, the first chord, is the G. And then from there, you have the same distance between your chords as that other person does when they're playing the guitar. And that is what is great about capos, is that you can learn like nothing else. The capo teaches you how to transpose chords in the moment as you're going along. And so, I know I showed you guys this in a previous video, but another great use of the capo, as I've been saying, is if you've got a song that's in, for example, the key of E, and you think that that's way too low, you can slap your capo on there, and all of a sudden, that song is in that whole other key, okay? Now, I've shown you guys this example, so you should recognize it. This is, what one was it? Okay, I'll just use the Blue Rodeo example. So this song is in the key of E. Usually, that's how Blue Rodeo does it. That's how the song is played. Just like the sun over the mountain top, you know I'll always come again. Okay, so we're going from the first, just like the sun. So that's the B7th, which means we're going from the first to the fifth and back to the first again, to the fourth. You know I'll always come again. Okay, now this is the beauty of your capo. You can take that song, which is in the key of E, and put it really into whatever key you like. That's literally, except for backwards. You can't put a song that's in the key of E into the key of D, because it's impossible. You've run out of frets, right? But what you can do is, instead of having to transpose all the chords, all you have to do is, if you like to play that song in G instead, you just put your capo on and you play your E-shaped chords, okay? Now what you're hearing is a G, but the chord shapes are all the same. And this is very useful for people who are learning to sing and can't sing really low songs, right? Just like the sun over the mountain tops, you know I'll always come again. So that's the same bones. It's the same chord progression. I've just lifted it up to a higher melody and a higher chord progression and a higher song, really. So that is the beauty of capos, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm really glad I got to show you guys that video, because capos are kind of weird for a lot of people, and transposing with capos can be very strange for a lot of people. But it's just another one of those things, and as I say, if you really want to get really good with mastering chords, get somebody to just play anything on the guitar and then start to use that capo. At first, it's going to seem very alien and strange, but as you use it a lot, you really get a good sense for mastering the idea of the chord progression, the bones of a song. That's what you start to get a sense for. And so I suggest to anybody, even if you're just starting out, go out and buy a capo and start playing with it. You won't really get a lot of these concepts at first, but as you play it through, you're going to be very glad that you started using that capo. So as usual, everybody, I'm Dustin Cormier. You've just watched how to use a capo on How to Rock a Campfire. I guess I'll see you in the next video. Namaste. See you soon.